a lot of these horses that are seemingly kind of been there, done that, like they're really experienced or able to handle things, they're generally space horses. You know, they're horses that can handle, but then what happens is they will sink heavily into a thought. So if the thought's not to go through the gate, they'll sink more heavily than a pressure horse where you could kind of make it happen because they're more fearful of pressure. And space horses are funny, right? Like if I would have done this with Mielsmer, it would have been over. Okay, so all of you have to recognize this. That's why we're trying to analyze what horse we have first. Because you're going to see, I'm going to deal with every one of these horses slightly different because of their tendency and their need. Now, for him, this is more of a space horse tendency, and you see where it's like, it's nothing for him to absorb me. Where Mielsmer couldn't absorb anything. Okay, everything had to be so clear. So we're working on the signaling, and I want to get to that with him, but I also want him to start. So you see here, I'm more so, like if you watch, guys, I am working on enacting my request, not trying to make him move. And here's the trouble. It's like, I'm trying to be nice, mister. I'm trying to be nice, mister. And now you're not listening. Okay? This is where the problem comes, because then it's like they don't feel us because we're trying to be quiet. And a space horse, if you're trying to be subtle, it's like trying to talk to a thick person. My wife says this sometimes, you know, it's like she's trying to explain something to me and I'm like, and then it's like you're not, because you have to be able to speak to where they're at. Okay, so if he's just like this, not really paying attention, and I'm just using this little bit of energy, I'm dulling myself. Right. Okay, so I have to speak. Good. Good. To the best of my ability, speak very clearly to the level that he can hear me. Now, that doesn't give me then the right to just get after him, because if he starts to get worried, that's on me. I overdid that. So what I want you to think about is I want you to think about keeping your pressure threshold connected to your energy. It's not about him. Okay? Forget him. This is the issue. This is what allows us to get drawn in. Because then when he's on a good day, it's like, I'm like this. Oh, good boy. Good boy. Okay? And now I'm enacting the problem again because I'm falling back into the temptation of entrusting it to him. Okay? So I want to stay consistent. And the first thing when I take a breath, remember what I'm dealing with. He needs to feel me. I need to show up in a way he can hear me. So as I begin, I'm enacting my own clarity on this. Good. And it's like I am filling my own space. Space horses will do very little without us showing up confidently in our own space. Good. Okay. Good. Now, so then what was the change I was looking for in the trot? That's it. Freedom. So yes, we can enact those as the same term. But a horse can go forward and stay tight. So when I say free, anything that I ask, I want to feel like an effort and a freedom in it. Now when he backs, he wants to tighten. So we'll talk about that as well. Good, good, really good. So you see when I touched that, there was a softer change. Generally, space horses are easier to that. What they would do if they lingered on something is they just stand there, let you pull on them. They won't change. But I'm not going to touch this until I've got him moving his feet. Now, Mielsmer, I didn't even start really asking her to do this because I had to work on a soft feel first. For a space horse, you actually have to get them moving first before you can talk to this. Because if you do this, he's just like, right. So you got to get them moving first. With Mielsmer, you know, you got to get her soft first before you move her, or you're just going to be moving the fear. Right. They absorb the world better, but it's harder in the training process because you have to stay more awake, and you're not going to know it. With Mielsmer, you're going to know it immediately. Okay, so it's easier on one hand, it's harder on the other. Okay, so then when I ask any question, and I demonstrated that when I said I almost got sucked in, and that's what happens because you're married to him. You're in relationship with him. I'm not. So it was easier for me to sense when that was happening. But what I want to do is, as soon as I'm going to you see all this tension? That's what's happening in your canter. So he never actually gave his shoulder. But I'm not going to keep, first of all, I don't want to discourage try. So I'm going to say, that's it. Exactly. It's okay, bud. It's okay. Good. And this is the other thing. It's like, it's so important to recognize that he's not doing anything wrong, and he's not being punished. What I'm doing is I'm not going to leave him there. Now, here's the problem with, using a little bit more pressure with a horse, is we get it in our minds that we need more pressure with him. Okay, so then when the subtle changes happen, we're still coming in there and looking for big changes because we're getting used to the fact that we needed more. But I am always, always desiring the subtle change, but I am not going to leave him stuck in his own stuff. No different than I'm not going to leave Miel's mare stuck in that stuff. I'm not going to do it. But that does not mean, good boy, good. That does not mean, so for Miel's mare it looks more righteous because there's hardly any pressure. But for him, the clarity comes in that it's like, no, I'm not leaving you there, bud. I'm not leaving you stuck in that stuff. Because it's hard to tell that a space horse doesn't feel as good, easier with Miel's mare. But for them, it's more like this. It's more like an inner, I don't want to say depression, but it's like an inner kind of like blah. But they hold it all in. It's like, no, I'm not leaving you there. I care too much. So then when I'm wakening up that pressure, it's like, come on, bud, talk to me. I don't want to leave you there. So it's like you got to renew the mind around the pressure is actually just administering the intention. So anytime you apply pressure, you're administering an intention. Most of us, when we use pressure, the intention is, I'm a bit pissed. I'm tired of this. Then it cooks them, and then we say pressure's bad. We all are. You're just being honest. Every one of us has done it at some point. It's the reason we don't want to use pressure. But if we could just, at the very beginning, say, my pressure's about clarity. I'm just saying it so I can be heard. I just want you to hear me. That's it. You see? And then what happens is then you get the change, and then the answer happens. So it's like, where's the spot when he tries? Where's that spot? The key is that has to be consistent. Even on days where he appears like he's doing okay. You have to stay dialed in. Right. Of course. I understand, right? Because we're trying to be relational. Yes, I understand. And we're trying to be relational. So relational means we just sit there quietly and good things happen, right? Okay, now sometimes being very relational means that we create boundaries. But it has to come from a different heart. Not a heart that says, get out of here, you sorry horse. See, now we're missing the positive, or a relational interpretation. But if me letting him be sticky, is supporting the struggle in him, then me doing what it takes to free him up is very necessary for the relationship to thrive. It's like not speaking up or having a voice. See, if I just say, okay, it's fine, and I don't speak up, it's like, this is all I'm saying is I want to show up enough for him to hear that. And because it's quiet, and Miel's mare is seemingly loud and very obvious, it actually is easier to train that because you always know. If she's quiet, it's because you did something right. If this guy's quiet, it means nothing. He's generally like that. So you have to be able to inspire voice. And that's the other part of my pressure. I'm like, bud, talk to me. It's not acceptable. You need to speak up. Have a voice now, not when I'm asking you for canter. Okay, and that's the problem with it. If that's the only time the voice comes is when we're about to canter, now you just have to be brave. And that's not fun. It is maybe at one stage, but it just gets old, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to awaken a true conversation all the time. And if he's not going to talk to me, I'm going to inspire enough truth for him to talk to me. So I'm just trying to relinquish the negativity of pressure. Because most times it's like if we see somebody pressuring a horse, it's like the horse has been naughty and you can't let them get away with it. It's not that at all. It's that I want to incite a true conversation. I want to awaken him to be honest with me, and I want to talk about it now, not when we're in the middle of it. So for me, with my horses, the last time I want to have to deal with this type of issue is when I'm chasing a cow or I need my horse. But that's when the pressure comes up to see it.